I want to start talking about something that Batya and I talked about last week, which is the president's war against Harvard University. I get that Harvard's like not the most sympathetic actor in all this, and that I get why President Trump's going after them. But Batya, you on social media seem to be taking extreme delight in the destruction of my alma mater. Why is it that Harvard is such a big target for the president, and why are you cheering like a Roman in the Colosseum about it?
I get it.
I think people in the elites, especially people who have been to Harvard, don't quite understand how loathed the product of these elite institutions are to average Americans. And I think people, especially people who have gone to Harvard, have this feeling that there's like this like resentment or jealousy or what have you. But it's quite the opposite. I think there's this feeling that there's been this very literal upward transfer of wealth from the hardest working people into these universities, into the pockets of the people who matriculate from them, who then, out of, I guess, some sort of weird sense of gratitude, turn around and express through their policy, through their demeanor, through everything they say, utter contempt for the people who have basically paid for it, for this upward transfer of wealth that put them in the elites. There's such a failure of noblesse oblige, or a sense of owing something to the nation. And so that combination of both, people go to these universities, they get this degree, turns out at $2 billion of taxpayer expense, and then turn around and enact policy that actually hurts the very people who are the reason that they were able to become so successful. That kind of nugget, that psychological makeup is sort of emblematic of everything that's gone wrong in this country over the last 40 years, of this massive class divide in which it's not just that people who go to these institutions are fabulously wealthy and more successful and working class people are struggling, but that from that perch of immense privilege, they have contempt for the hardest working people. And what Trump is basically doing is saying, actually, no, we're actually not going to do this anymore. We're not going to make the hardest working people subsidize the lives of the fabulously wealthy. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to take $3 billion from Harvard and give it to trade schools so that working class people can afford to buy homes. This stuff is just, I can't tell you, Mark, how much joy it brings me straight into my veins.
Yes, your straight into the veins tweet has been forwarded to me by many. Bridget, are you as populist riled up about this as Batya is?
Excuse me. I feel like I have a drafted tweet that I've just been sitting on where it's the young Lincoln, and it's like only elites give a shit about Harvard, and so I'm not sure how much this, like, the average person is. This feels to me very much like a lot of people who went to Harvard and people in media, and it seems like a lot of people care about this. And then I don't know. I don't really.
You don't care at all.
I care, but I don't care that much. I think that my biggest issue with Harvard has always been that it's just essentially, what does Carol Roth always say about it? It's a hedge fund with a university attached. And that feels crazy to me. That I think that is more insane to me than anything else. The people voted for Trump to do this, to kind of kick the elites around and the elite institutions. So I can see why you would be celebrating, and I think it's kind of amusing, but I'm not sure outside of people who are really pro-Trump, and I just don't get the sense that many people care that much about Harvard in outside of kind of media circles. Do you feel that they do?
The president seems to care a lot about it. Batya.
I think people cared a lot less before they learned that we were paying $2 billion a year to Harvard to educate Xi Jinping's daughter and other future apparatchiks of the Chinese Communist Party. And I think at that point, and this is why I keep saying Trump has already won, no matter how the lawsuits come down. honestly, I don't see, Mark, you keep saying on all of your shows that you don't see how they win this lawsuit about taking, the foreign students at Harvard. I don't see how they lose it. I mean, obviously, the Department of Homeland Security has final say over who gets a visa. And if they say, look, this is not the kind of person we're giving a visa to, but he might lose. The Supreme Court might side with Harvard, but Trump has already won because he has exposed what's actually happening here. And I remember saying this around the Claudine Gay story. I really wanted her to hold on, especially after the plagiarism allegations came out, right? So she was one of the three presidents, university presidents, who Elise Stefanik asked repeatedly is calling for the genocide of the Jews against Harvard's code of conduct. And she kept saying it depends on the context, to which Elise Stefanik, bless her soul, said, the context. Oh, she said it depends if it moves into action. And Elise Stefanik said, action being, you mean they actually commit genocide? It was perfect. But after that, she held on to her job, Claudine Gay at Harvard. But then it was revealed she had plagiarized much of her thesis, at which point I really wanted her to hold on because I really wanted Harvard to have to live with the infamy of having a president who had plagiarized her thesis. It was such a perfect embodiment of the emptiness and vapidity of our elites who think they have the right to rule over us and tell us what to think and what to do and while themselves pillaging the middle class. Like, that is the thing that really gets in my craw. If they were just middle class people and there were other working class people who had a middle class standard of living and everybody was living in nice neighborhoods in homes they owned and could retire in dignity, I wouldn't have a problem with their contempt because, it would be fine, whatever. They think they're better than us because they went to Harvard. The problem is that thanks to the economy that was built by the Democrats, it is only they who have access to the American dream. It is only the people who have justified chance for the genocide of the Jews who have access to the American dream. And that's really what Trump's entire economic agenda is designed to reverse.
I will just say as we close this that I'm for anything that makes Harvard less anti-Israel, less liberally biased, and less out of touch and elite. I just wonder about whether it's really obviously good to keep international students from being part of the student body. But
yeah, I've
we'll
wondered
see.
about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Seems like a brain drain. I don't know. Just you still want to get talent from other countries.
Batya doesn't. Batya thinks they should. Batya thinks we should trade every international student for a working class American.
Okay. Well,
I think why are we not brain draining the ghetto? Like, why are we not out there finding talent, American talent that's being left on the table? There are brilliant children in broke communities across this country who have no opportunities, and we're importing mediocre foreign students so that people in Harvard, so Harvard doesn't have to touch its endowment. That's effectively what's happening, and I find that to be deplorable.